Okay, family. So we're going to spend some time today talking about our attendance. In this presentation, your attendance counts, even when we're on quarantine. So how does my attendance count? So if your child is out on quarantine due to COVID-19, then you should know that absolutely we can still make sure that your child, their attendance counts and that they're still getting their educational minutes. So every day that your child completes their work while they're out, the school is able to qualify that as a day of attendance and your child is getting instruction. This means that the school still receives ADA funding to provide your child with the best education possible. And so completed and turned in work does equal more funding for your child's education. So what is ADA? You might hear that. You might have heard that before. We say ADA a lot in education. We talk a lot about acronyms. ADA stands for Average Daily Attendance. So that's the total number of days a student is in attendance divided by the total number of days in a regular school year. So a student that attends every day in the entire school year would equal 1 ADA. The state uses school districts' ADA to determine how much money it gets to fund the education of every student in public school. So ADA is not the same as enrollment. Enrollment is actually the number of students who are enrolled in a school and in a district. So a school could have, 500 kids enrolled, but their ADA is really only the amount of time that they show up to school, they're in attendance at school, or they're turning in work for school. ADA usually decreases due to some things like when kids are homesick. We absolutely understand kids need to be homesick, especially during this time, like now during COVID, that decreases our ADA. But also when families go on vacation and it's maybe not a break time, right? And so kids are in school, but you figure out that that's a family vacation time. Those are days missed. That counts against ADA. And then the other thing is when our kids are out on an independent study contract, which we're seeing a lot right now because of our COVID quarantines, they're given work to complete. And when they return that work, then that work is counted towards their attendance. So when they do not turn in that work, when they don't, receive that credit, then that also decreases the ADA that our school gets. So students not turning in assignments from their independent study contract, that is counted as an absence for our school and for your child. So attendance is really important, and not just now, it always is. I know it's harder now because of how much quarantine is happening and things like that. So we really want to focus on the things we can control when it comes to attendance. So things that, are linked to attendance is better achievement. So the more we see that the more students attend school, the higher rates of achievement that they achieve, that they gain. The more they're here and understand what's going on and are engaged in school, the higher their achievement is. The more that they attend, we're seeing higher scores in math, reading, and just their general knowledge, right? Because they're getting all of that instruction when they're here. Behavior is actually better when we see consistent attendance. So it's kind of hard for kids to do that back and forth when, if they miss a lot of school and then they're here and then they miss some more again. The consistency is what's difficult for them. And so we do see that when kids are attending regularly and consistently, their behavior actually is improved in class. They know exactly what to expect. They know the expectations. So it works out better for them behavior-wise as well. More attendance does equal less likelihood for any of our students to drop out of school later on. We are an elementary school district going up to middle school, but we do think about, how our kids are going to be affected on past middle school, in high school, and the habits that they've formed. So the more our kids are here, the more likely they are to feel a part of our school and class community as well. They have a higher sense of belonging. They feel like this is their place. They're comfortable here. The more they're here, right? And then higher education, if we see higher attendance in kids, we see that there is a higher likelihood that they'll attend college and school after high school. So what can parents and caregivers do to help increase attendance? There's quite a few things we can all work together to do. So checking homework. So each night to see that your child understands their homework. If there was any questions, you can even write little notes on the homework to let teachers know that something wasn't understood or that there was some questions. And then checking to see that that day's homework assignments are complete. Sometimes kids think they're finished and they're not, or sometimes maybe they didn't understand it and that's why they didn't finish. We want to make sure our teachers know about that too. Taking an active role. So really trying to stay involved as much as you can with your child's daily experiences at school. I know lots of times that's the talk around dinner. Hey, how was your day? Tell me something that went well. Tell me something that was hard. Because kids, you know, they might only want to tell you the good stuff, but there's some hard stuff too. And we want to make sure they're sharing all those things. And then make it a point really to, you know, meet your child's teacher, reach out, send an email, anything like that, along with your child's friends, asking, you know, who are they with and what they do at lunch and what did they play today and things like that. So we also want to look for any potential areas that might cause anxiety for your child. So if your child frequently appears upset or reluctant to go to school and maybe isn't telling you why or isn't giving much detail, I would say absolutely schedule an appointment with the teacher and maybe just ask, hey, what are you thinking? Have you seen the same thing at school? This is what I see at home. Any concerns that you might have. Along with the teacher, we have a whole support team on campus. That includes the school social worker, our school psychologist, our middle school has a school counselor, and also our school nurse. So if there's anything within those areas that you feel like, hey, I want to, you know, reach out to somebody and just maybe talk to them about any potential or possible issues that might be happening with my child. And obviously, always reaching out to your child, right? And asking those questions too, so that we're all understanding of what's going on. We're all on the same team. Keep updated on school events and announcements. So I know we get a lot of communication from our schools. There's a lot going on though. And so anything that comes home from school, please make it a point to just read those messages real quick, whether that by email or Dojo. Make note of any upcoming important dates, maybe early release days or something special coming up that's going to happen at school or things like that. And there's really important things like back to school nights and parent teacher conference notices and things like that that come in those notifications. So please make sure that you're reading those and you're regularly checking emails and things like that. This is kind of a hard one because we want to think, you know, we obviously want our families to spend time together. That's very valuable and we understand that. We just ask that you try to plan celebrations, trips, things like that that are going to take you away, that would take you away from school. If we can try to plan those on times that we're already out of school. So obviously we get a big summer break, but we also have 2 weeks of a spring break. We have a winter break of 2 weeks. And then we have that week that is the Thanksgiving holiday that we have off, along with a lot of 3-day weekends. So like my family tries to schedule some special things to do along those 3-day weekends as well. Planning ahead. So always thinking, you know, the night before, hey, let's lay out our clothes. Let's get a good night's sleep. Make sure that maybe, you know, any snacks or anything that you send with your child is already ready to go in the backpack or things like that. That really makes a difference in that consistency and kids feeling ready to go for the next day. I know in my own home with my 3 kids, sometimes it's hard to get them up in the morning. One stayed up too late. One was doing homework late or something like that. We just try to do the best we can and making sure that we're all getting those good meals. We're all getting to sleep at a decent time. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but we always want to plan ahead. And then helping to get to school on time. I think laying out those clothes and doing things like that, we do. 2 of my kids have to do that on a regular night, else the morning is not going good. So we try to do that, and that does help us to get to school on time in the morning. But also an alarm clock, having kids get used to waking up that way. That's always nice as well, so that it's not just relying on parents to wake them up or caregivers to wake them up. And then trying to keep the television off in the morning. I know sometimes like people like noise or music, which can be helpful to get going. But when the television's on, sometimes along with myself and our kids, sometimes like to sit and watch, and that can lead us to not do other things in getting ready for the morning. And then really kind of just talking about the importance of education with our kids, that really is important for their future success, and not even just in school or college, but just in life, right? I talk to my kids about how, getting to school on time every day, making sure you're finishing assignments on the deadline. That helps us when we return into the work world. That helps us be on time and be consistent with turning things in on time. And if our boss is asking us to do something, we're getting it done and that kind of thing. So these skills really do help us, not just in school, but they are life skills and they develop really good habits. And so we just want to make sure that we're giving that importance, not just of the academics. Obviously, that's important, but also of the life skills for our kids. So telling them too, great job turning in assignments, and we're proud of you, and giving that praise as teachers and school staff. We try to do that all the time. So we appreciate you taking this time to listen to this presentation. If you have any questions at all, I would say for different things, for maybe independent study contracts, that would be the school health clerk. If you are going to be out for an extended amount of time, and again, with COVID right now, that might be the case. Your health clerk would give you an independent study contract. So if you had any questions about that in particular, you can ask your health clerk, the school health clerk. If you had questions about assignments in particular, your child not understanding certain things or certain concepts, that would be your classroom teacher. You can always reach out to your school principal if you had kind of a school-wide question or things like that. And then we're always available here in our student services department. You can give us a call if you have questions, again, about this presentation in particular, but anything that supports our students. Thank you very much for your time.